Welcome back to another episode of Gatehouse Insights. Today, I'm joined by Hayder, who is a divorce and family lawyer. Hayder will share his journey on becoming an Olympic athlete in Taekwondo, how he uses disappointments and setbacks to progress forward, the learnings he was able to transfer across from his training in Taekwondo, and much, much more. Make sure you subscribe to the Gatehouse Legal Recruitment YouTube channel to catch it all. Well, good morning, Hayder. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Louise. Lovely to be here.
So I wanted to begin with what inspired you to get into law and to practice family law.
I thought it was an industry that was never going to die, and it was always going to, I think, increase in value. I've always been around families, communities. I've done my fair share of community work, worked with families, children, sport, things like that. So it seemed like a natural fit that I would be assisting families that are going through the most difficult time of their lives. Hence why I chose family law.
Awesome. And how long have you been doing this now?
I'm now entering my 8th year.
Good. Goes quick.
Yeah, when you think about it, it goes quick, doesn't it?
It does. Now, you're also an Olympic athlete in Taekwondo. Tell us more about this journey, because it's very rare that we hear lawyers that are also an Olympic athlete. So tell us more.
Yes, I've been, doing Taekwondo my whole life. I was started when I was 7 years old, and I was training every day, all the time, and I really enjoyed it, loved it. Then when I started to get about 12, 13 years old, I started to realize, I might actually be good at this. It might be something I might be able to pursue a little bit more. And, it was something that, with the Olympic Games and always being inspired as a child to, be part of that, it became my dream as a, young 12, 13-year-old to be part of that. So, I trained hard throughout school, waking up in the mornings, going to training, going to school after, training after school, and continuing that throughout my university days whilst doing my law and journalism degree at UTS. And then also did that whilst I started working in law. So it's a very long journey. I missed out by a whisker on Olympics in London, which is unfortunate, but those things happen for a reason. And then I picked myself up and went hard to try and qualify for 2016, which I did. And then I finished 7th there. So after that, I thought, you know what? I think I've done everything that I can in this sport. I'm going to try and pursue my other passions, my other trades that I have that I've developed over the years. And so I thought, let's open up just as family lawyers. And I did about 6 months after the 2016 Olympic Games.
That's fantastic. So you would have dealt with, disappointments and setbacks throughout your journey with Taekwondo and, not qualifying for 2011. But tell us because disappointments and setbacks come up in our life and work. But how do you deal with disappointments and setbacks and twists and turns that come up in life?
Disappointments and setbacks are the biggest thing and the largest lesson that I learned through sport. It's a little bit sad to say, but I've had so many in my life, and I'm so thankful for them, and they keep coming. You know what? I honestly, truly believe I've become a master in twisting them and ensuring that every single setback has become a stepping stone into the future. And I look at all of my setbacks as my strengths. I gather energy from them, and like most people, I see them as a positive thing. And sport really is one of the biggest ways in order to become a conqueror of your setbacks, because you're constantly facing different things. It could be issues losing in competitions, it could be getting injured, it could be having issues with selections, it could be such a range of different things where you're have to pick yourself up. You're at rock bottom, and you have to pick yourself up and perform. Maybe the next hour, the next day, the next week, or whatever it is. So there's not much time for sympathizing with oneself and laying on the ground doing nothing.
It's good. I like your mindset there, just picking yourself up and keep going forward. So in 2011 you were defeated, but how did you use that defeat to then train for the next 4 years to get into 2016? How did you use that as a motivator?
Well, just draw on that memory quite often in order to fuel myself. Just, to be honest, anything that I say will be quite cliche. I had pictures up on my wall of where I wanted to go, kind of thing. Or had pictures of the person that I lost against to kind of keep me energy going. Things like that, where I realized that in 2012 I felt I was a little bit. I had spread myself too thin amongst a number of different activities that I was doing. And at that age I was also quite young as well, and you learn these things in hindsight. And I think I learned that you can't be good at everything, and you can choose 1, 2 things, maybe 3 at most, that you really push yourself in. And especially when it gets to the Olympics, you've got to really narrow in and just focus on that one thing. And if you don't, you're up against people around the world that are doing just one thing day in, day out, with only one focus, complete tunnel vision on it. And, gone are the days where you can fluke a win against these types of people. Very low percentage chance. And I think that's one of the main reasons as to why Australia hasn't been doing as good in sport generally as they were doing, for example, as 20 years ago, because we haven't really caught up with that mindset yet.
It's true, focusing on that one thing and put all your energy into that. How many hours were you training in that 4-year period to get to the Olympics?
So an average day would be training 4 hours a day. So we do 2 sessions, each 2 hours, and then we do that about 5-6 times a week. So yeah, about 20-24 hours of training, and then that's just the training. And then with that, comes rehab, the resting, the going to and from training. All of that kind of stuff is all incorporated in it, and it's absolutely exhausting. I remember, about 6 months before the Olympic Games, I was waking up every morning completely sore, exhausted. It was cold, 5:30 in the morning, and I just kept saying to myself, just keep pushing through. You've got 6 more months, and then, you can decide what you're going to do after that. Probably not Taekwondo anymore, but, and since then, every day now, I wake up at 8 o'clock and I'm so happy.
But I'm sure you've, you would have learnt lots of things through your training in Taekwondo and getting to that level. What have you learnt from that you've been able to bring across into law?
Look, the crossover between sport and law is basically the same thing. In my opinion, it's very a lot of the lessons can be like a lot of the skills that you learn can be transferable. The feeling that I would, when I started practicing quite heavily, the feeling that I was getting when I first started going into court, if I was up against a tough legal opponent, I was getting nervous, like I was just about to walk into a world championship final. So it literally was quite a similar feeling, and it was nice in a way to kind of have that buzz of competition, have that buzz of, I'm up against someone, and, obviously it's a different style of fighting. I'm not punching and kicking. I'm arguing with my words and trying to reason with the judge and try and come up with something. But the roller coaster ride involved, the losses, the success that follows, things like that, it's all very similar to me. So I feel like I've been in this world my whole life in a way.
This is different for it means different things to different people. What does success look like for you? Could you share your thoughts on that?
Yes. So I run the practice here. We've got our office here in Sydney. We've also got our main office here in Sydney. We've also got a little sub office in Melbourne. For me, because I'm managing the practice and running the practice, obviously growth is important. For me, success would be literally waking up in the morning and enjoying going to work, like looking forward to it. Success is on a Sunday night, I'm excited to wake up on Monday morning so that I can go to work. And if I can get to that level, which I'm at now, if I can maintain that, I think that's success. And if I can, even better still, if I can instill that and give that feeling to everybody else that's at my firm, I think I've done well as a manager, as a leader, and I've accomplished my goal.
It's good. It's a good definition of success. I wanted to shift us onto the youth charity you've co-founded, because you do a lot of work in that space. But tell us a little bit more about that, the charity you've created and why you created it.
Yeah, well, my dad, I come from a mixed origin. My father's from Iraq and my mom's Japanese. I grew up here in Western Sydney. And my father's, coming from an Iraqi community, he's always been quite heavily involved in community work. And, if you come from a community like that, you're kind of forced to kind of be involved in the community. There isn't really a choice, I guess. But him being quite early in terms of arriving into Australia, obviously it gave him that advantage to help the people that came in a bit later. So giving back to a community is quite second nature. If you're Iraqi or if you're from my family as well. So yeah, just being involved in that environment, always seeing what we can do to help and assist others that are obviously less fortunate, extremely important. There's a huge disparity out in Western Sydney that people really won't realise. People live in their own bubbles. And, I became increasingly aware of that the older I got, because you kind of graduate from one bubble into the next. And yeah, there needs to be something done. There's a huge gap, and unless there are people that are there constantly giving back, if there are people that aren't good role models for the area, good role models for the community, then how's the community going to progress? Just on the weekend we had a really nice event. It was run by the Iraqi Australia University Graduates Forum that I emceed at. And there they were handing out awards to all the high achievers, all Iraqi Australian high achievers who got over, I think, 90 in the HSC. So it was a beautiful event. And, if you think about it, they actually put on quite a nice event for such an occasion. And really, if you look at the calendar, there isn't much else that they kind of celebrate. There are obviously other things as well. But this is one of the highlights of the year that they do every year. And if you think about it, what the reasoning is behind it, you're giving awards to these 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds. They probably don't really understand the significance of it at the time. That's what I felt. But hopefully in a few years, they understand that this event was something to kind of establish themselves a little bit within the community. It's to kind of bring them back in to hopefully do some more work in the future. It creates a kind of pathway where they're involved. It also sets them as almost kind of role models, one would hope. And it gives, the community at large something to be proud of, which is all very important, all extremely important things.
And future dreams, what are your future dreams and plans for yourself, your business, the charities you're running?
Look, I would love to obviously grow the firm to a point where there's an established office in Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane, everywhere on the East Coast. That's something that I would really try and strive and do. Obviously growth is important. Different practice areas as well we're looking at. But in terms of anything like that, hopes, dreams, I'll be honest, I'm quite happy right now. I've got, I'm, I'm still involved in the Taekwondo sphere. I'm still doing a little bit of coaching, assisting, helping out in different fields. One of my old training partners going to the Olympic Games, hopefully, if they're still on. So I'm still training with him. I'm a little bit sore from training last night, but all of these things, it's really beautiful to be part of. Feels like you're kind of giving and assisting and things like that. So, in all honesty, I don't have huge goals that I feel like I need to get to in order to be happy. I feel like I'm in a good place and I'm happy.
And there you have it. Another episode of Gatehouse Insights draws to an end. Thank you for watching, and thank you for sharing this video with your friends. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to the Gatehouse Legal Recruitment YouTube channel where you can see more.